Well, there you are. How about that? We are back in studio broadcasting live. Well, live right now, but maybe a pre-recorded show that you're listening to later on down the road from the iHeart Media and Entertainment Studios in beautiful San Diego, California. The boys are back in town. As was that Brownsville Station or Thin Lizzy? One of the two groups here. I'm going to have to review my music history. John's feedback there. What would it be without a John Bagnasco iPhone feedback, Tiger?
I just wanted you to know that I was back, and everything is the way it used to be.
It used to be. From Costa Rica back to San Diego. Again, Tiger hooked us up. Tiger, you hooked us up with the live show from our hotel in Costa Rica.
Not bad, right?
Not bad. We had 2 bars on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got on.
Did you watch it back?
I did.
What did you think?
I did. I thought it was really good based on where we were. Froze up a couple, 2 or 3 times, but the point was there.
Yeah.
And the point being, we're in Costa Rica. We're broadcasting live at that time. And I thought we did a good job, and we got some good feedback.
What a trip.
Yes.
Yeah, really. That was a.
Where are we going to go next?
Where do you start?
We need to start planning.
We got to review this trip.
John's already on to the next one, yeah.
Where do we start? Well, we started in San Jose.
Yeah, San Jose.
Where we landed.
If anybody had watched...
Brian never knew the way, but now you do.
I do now.
Yeah.
But I think it's the wrong San Jose, John.
Oh,
That's where
okay.
the confusion is.
All right.
Anyway, Tiger, that old reference. Please continue, Tiger.
Well,
Dionne Warwick, Tiger, in case you're wondering.
Oh, thank you. I was definitely wondering. Well, if you had watched the Costa Rica show, we talked about some pretty amazing things. And one of the things I had mentioned, in just to start off in San Jose, was my plant that I was most impressed with to some degree was in San Jose, because we're in this hotel in the middle of a city, and what was it? It was like a Hilton or a Best.
Yeah.
It was something, I can't remember what it was.
Fancy Garden Hilton.
Yeah, something like that. And in their pool area, they had a chocolate plant just growing right there. And it had the cocoa beans on there. And I was just, that's when you realize you're in a different area.
Right. When you see things growing wild that you would only find at a nursery or some plant that was imported.
You never find that here.
Right.
Yeah, when all the weeds are houseplants,
Exactly.
you know you're in a different climate.
So that first hotel, we were just there quickly overnight.
Yes.
We arrived late, got about 4 hours sleep, on the bus the next day, heading west.
Doke.
Yes.
Doke.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Doka. Was it?
Well, the Doka was the
Coffee. That's what I'm saying.
Coffee
Doka.
plantation.
That's where we had. That was our first stop, wasn't it?
That was. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
We brought some coffee home.
I was impressed to see Geisha, which was that coffee that John, had mentioned years ago about being a very expensive, exclusive type of coffee, very popular in Japan. Japan, was it?
The California geisha, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, in Asia.
But you were saying it's popular in Asia.
Right, because in Asia you're looking at a tea market.
Ah.
And they're switching over to coffee. You're switching them over to coffee. So they like coffee blends that aren't bitter but have more of a floral. Mm-hmm. If you can describe coffee as having a floral taste.
Floral notes? As
floral notes. Yeah. There you go, Brian.
But on the sign, you can see, though, that on each of those different types, they had different little indicators, and they had productivity. And, they would put like 5 beans for very productive plants. Geisha had 2. So I can see why it's very exclusive or very expensive, right?
Well, yeah, and also more expensive in California because it takes much longer to ripen than it does over there in Costa Rica. But we saw all the different varieties.
Yeah.
They had them all planted there. And they are testing one in Costa Rica that was being grown in California, which is the variety that has virtually no caffeine.
Yeah, the caffeine-free.
Right.
Decaffeinated
and what did they
variety.
tell us the difference between their decaf and the kind you buy in the store? There's a
Well, to decaffeinate coffee, there's a chemical process.
Right.
And they
don't do that.
They
use formaldehyde, I think, in some of it. So, yeah, if you have a coffee that's naturally decaffeinated, how much healthier is that going to be?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the coffee we brought back, very good. Oh, my gosh.
And then it was really funny. Our tour guide was answering all kinds of questions, and somebody asked, because in Costa Rica, you have wildlife everywhere. Birds, bats, animals just everywhere you go. There's wildlife, right?
And a lot of dead things on the side of the road, guys, that
Yes,
you're
there
very
is.
familiar with.
But somebody had asked, like, what eats coffee? What eats coffee beans? Like, what critter? Kind of a thing. And she was commenting, like, there really is nothing. Coffee plants are plagued by fungal issues, some kind of disease, and beetle. Right? Those were the two things that she said plague the plants. Are not. They don't have to worry about the toucans eating all the coffee beans. They don't have to worry about rats or rodents eating all the coffee beans.
Well, they do have that cat that eats the coffee beans.
Do they?
Yeah.
One cat?
Well, that's the most expensive coffee in the world.
Was it in Costa Rica?
I don't know.
I don't think that cat is in Costa Rica.
Where is it, in Asia somewhere?
Or Honduras.
Honduras?
Hey, by the way, just got a text from my lovely wife, Dana. She said, I just asked Alexa to play the Garden America radio broadcast on Facebook, and it's playing our live broadcast from Costa Rica.
Oh.
And the difference is there's no video freezing up. You'll get the entire audio.
Yeah.
So it should be a decent
Decent
playback.
listen to.
So there you go.
Good to know,
go.
Dana.
Thank you, Dana. Oh,
Dana
once a
was
producer, always a producer.
Dana was a pleasure to have on the trip, too.
She's a good traveler.
Yeah, exactly. Well prepared, well organized, just went along with the flow.
Brian invited all his high school buddies on the trip.
Well, one showed up.
Yeah.
Where is Kevin? Well, I expect to see Kevin on
He
it.
just posted a comment.
Oh, did he?
Did he?
Yeah. Good
Hey,
morning, dear diary.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful family.
Right, exactly. And we're talking about no caffeine in the coffee and how it's how they blend it and what they do to it. And Carla says, "Is it really coffee then?"
Right?
Well, of course it is.
Yeah, it's
a variety of coffee.
But I'm a caffeine guy too. If it doesn't have caffeine, I'm not drinking it.
Yeah. First of all, I don't like coffee. So if it doesn't have caffeine, what's the point?
Yeah.
I like coffee.
I like it doctored.
You do. You don't like it black, do you?
No.
All the coffee machines at the convenience store,
Right.
that John does his own custom blend there, of coffee, of macchiato,
Sugar,
of this,
cream.
of that.
It's not coffee by the time it's done.
It's 1/3 today's coffee, 1/3 caramel macchiato, 1/3 coffee de ollo, and
Little cinnamon flavor.
1/3 whatever the extra energy.
Did you just say Didn't you just say 4/3?
Did I?
Yeah, I think so. It's all right. We get the point.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make him happy right now is ice cream.
You know what?
Ice cream's amazing.
You are an ice cream fanatic.
One nice thing about being married for a long time as you get older
Yeah.
is that your spouse doesn't listen to what you say. They just listen to what you mean.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And I have been married to you guys for a while, but not as long as Shannon.
But
Tanya in San Jose, I agree with you. I like a little coffee with my cream.
Wasn't there a commercial years ago? You're the cream in my coffee.
Was there?
Right, yeah, I think so. No
You're the
commercial.
cream in
What
my
I
coffee.
guarantee, one of our listeners or viewers will know. They'll remind us of what that was.
So, the other thing that was, I mean, I don't know whether to say this was impressive, but just different, is that, in Costa Rica, wherever you went, everything was manual labor still. When we talk about the coffee plantation, we talk about the pineapple fields, the
How about the sugar?
fields,
The sugar canes.
and you don't see machines out there chopping things down. You don't see big tractors like doing whatever. It's manual labor, so the coffee is hand picked, right? And then they go and they do all of this processing, washing, and all of that, and then they're describing the process of taking out in the middle of that concrete arena and drying it and turning it by hand.
They had to fill their baskets though, or they don't get paid, or they get paid half.
What was it?
Was it 28?
It was 28 pounds.
Right.
And I think it was like not $8, like 8 colones a basket or something like that.
But yeah, if you don't pick it right or don't get enough, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you're saying. Everything's hand picked. There's no machine.
Yeah.
One of the most fun things was squeezing that sugar cane.
Oh, that was a lot
right.
of fun.
Yeah.
I think that video got posted, right?
Till I figured out.
Did it?
Till I figured out how to do it, because there's a roller on top and a roller on the bottom, and you're just paying instead of coordinating with the guy next to you. And I said something to her afterwards. She goes, "Of course, it wouldn't be any fun That's why she goes, that's why I don't say that, because it
You
wouldn't
know,
be
I
any
got
fun.
called on first, and the first thing I did was went to the front where
All you had to do is pull the
all you had
sugar
to do
cane.
is hold on to it, keep it from hitting the ground. I didn't have to do any turning.
So
We've got a
Okay.
break coming up, and you've got the quote of the week. Go ahead, Tiger, quickly.
one stick. How long do you think that stick of sugar cane was? About
8 feet?
8 feet?
I'll guess 8 feet.
One 8-foot piece of sugar cane, 2 pitchers
Yeah,
of juice.
of juice.
Of sugar juice.
Yeah, and you know what? It wasn't as sweet as I thought it would be. It was good.
She said that shrinks down to
Right.
however much sugar, but it was good.
Okay, we're going to take a break. Welcome those on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you for tuning in. Now, we are back from Costa Rica. More on Costa Rica. More of your questions. More of your comments. The newsletter. John's Quote of the Week coming up next right here on Garden America. Right back from the break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, we appreciate what you do for us every single week. Thank you to our sponsors, Fertilome, for bringing you Garden America. Fertilome also brings us Garden America as well, John, as we've got that great quote of the week.
Quote of the week, Brian, is from D. Elton Trueblood.
Oh, the True Bloods, great family. They go way back.
I think he was a close personal friend of Herbert Hoover.
Really?
Yeah.
That's random.
He was like Herbert Hoover's B.B. Rebozo.
B.B. Rebozo, for those that remember Watergate and the Nixon administration.
Yeah, he was a friend of Nixon, right? Mm-hmm. I think he was that type of person. I think he was also an author. He wrote a bunch of books, an educator.
Yeah, he grew orange trees as well.
Trueblood sounds like something, what was that?
Vampire movie?
Yeah, wasn't that a vampire thing?
Yeah. I think it was.
Anyway, he said that a man has made at least a start on discovering the meaning of human life when he plants shade trees under which he knows full well he will never sit.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, that's true.
Yeah.
Which I'm doing at my house.
Exactly.
To which you will never
Planting
sit.
banyan trees.
I was talking with this couple earlier this week. They want to do their landscape, and they want to do natives, and they wanted some trees. And I'm like, well, there's not a lot of native trees. You know, you can do sycamore, you can do pines, you can do oaks. And so
Washingtonians.
Washingtonian palms. I said, but what about what we call like semi-native trees? So I had mentioned arbutus, which is a strawberry tree. A lot of people will call that a native or like native tree. And then the redbud, the cercis. John's mentioned that a ton of times because it's such cool new varieties of redbud trees. And like, okay, those are nice. And like, but what if we wanted to do a live oak? And this is a small home in Mission Hills.
This is their question.
And they're like,
Okay.
what if we did want to do? I'm like, well, you could. I go, but there's a couple problems. Number one, the live oak would be bigger than your house
Yeah.
eventually. Right. And
what about that root system on a live oak?
Yeah, and it would totally just tear everything up. Or, and number two, but don't worry about it. You'll never see that happen.
Not in your lifetime.
Yeah. So, they were like,
That's going to be somebody else's problem.
Exactly.
Later on down the line.
Totally regret having this live oak in their front lawn.
I grew up in Pacific Beach here in San Diego, and I don't know if there's still as many as there once were, but we had pine trees everywhere.
Yeah.
Front
Yeah,
yards.
not as many.
Not as many.
No,
In
nowhere
fact,
near. But they did do that for a while.
Oliver Street, are you familiar with Oliver
Uh-huh.
Street? From the ocean, I don't know, 10, 12, 13 blocks heading east, these trees grow over the street.
Yeah.
Virtually no sunlight, but just kind of a canopy over the street all the way down about 2 or 3 miles.
I think that was in the 60s.
Yes.
When a developer came in and
Absolutely.
thought that they wanted the beach area to look more like
Right.
Pebble Beach area kind of a
and
thing.
friends of mine, I grew up playing with their kids. They had 2 of them in their front yard on PB Drive. We used to climb the trees all the time, pine cones everywhere, but not as much anymore. I think they took them out some years back, right?
Well, they don't make sense.
Right.
Meaning, once somebody decided to take it out, they did not put the pine back in.
Right. Right. But
Well, you're right. That was the pine period.
Yeah.
Everybody was planting pines, and then after that, there was a movement away to palms,
Uh-huh.
and palms started going everywhere.
Yeah.
And now palms aren't that
you
popular
referred to it as
No.
the pine scare of the 60s, I think.
The pine scare.
Like the folk music scare.
But what John is referring to is kind of actually happening in San Diego. because San Diego's tourism vision is
Palm
palm trees
right.
and stuff.
Tropics.
But
You think of it.
we are not replanting our palms with palms. So those areas that lined, there's this area, Sunset Boulevard in Mission Hills.
Right.
And it's lined with palm trees. It's that classic like Beverly Hills view of.
It's like
of
Pacific Beach Drive in the catamaran.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Well, these palms are 60, 70 feet tall now. They've died. They fall down. They get taken out. And now it's trees. And so eventually, I don't know, in maybe another 10 years, that road will not be a palm road anymore. It'll
Well, did
be a
you see
tree
the
road.
airport? Take a look at the airport when you pull up. Palm trees right by the parking structure
Oh,
all the way
yeah.
down, giving people, oh, I'm in San Diego.
Yeah.
I'm in tropical.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, if you want to believe that, that's fine.
Yeah.
You think of that if you live in northern Michigan, but
Right.
we're actually Mediterranean climate.
Yeah.
We're much farther north than southern Texas.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You
Our
just-
humidity is just a little uncomfortable now and then, but it's nothing like.
Oh, we have no humidity.
Really, virtually no,
There
you're
were
right.
a lot of things I was told about Costa Rica that ended up that you needed to prepare for that ended up not being true.
The humidity, except at the very end.
Yeah, I
was
didn't think
nothing.
the humidity was bad at all.
Mosquitoes.
No mosquitoes. I didn't get any mosquito
And
bites.
we learned about climate zones: rainforest, cloud forest, and then the beach? What do they call
Desert.
that? Desert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was going from one side of the country to the other was an experience.
And wasn't it interesting? It wasn't north and south.
East and west.
For us, you got Northern California, Southern California, two different climates. East and west doesn't change a ton.
It's usually the altitude that changes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. For them, they have like an east and west side that separates their dry and wet and
Right.
populated and non-populated. And you cross over this range of mountains, and it's so funny that you're in this bus and you're driving, and all of a sudden you're on the dry side of a mountain. And
Right.
It's weedy, dry grass. And then you will keep driving, and then you hop back onto the wet side of the mountain, and it's jungle straight to the road's edge.
Yeah.
It's just so funny right there. It is east and west. It's not north and south.
Saw a lot of animals.
Ton of animals.
Yeah.
That's one thing that there was no lack of.
What was your favorite animal?
I think right off the bat, I like the white-faced monkeys that we saw.
Did you?
I like the caimans, a few caimans that were swimming around
I
there.
think I like the sloth the best
Yeah.
in being able to see one
Just
climb
there.
down out of a tree.
Yeah, the first morning that we went on that little hike, John, second day there where
Right.
they took us out, so that we were walking down that little alleyway, that street, and you look up and you just see a blob. You don't know what it is. But then on the walk back, he or she started to move, and I got a video of that. Just a very slow movement. But we should mention, too, again, that we were based at the base of a volcano, our resort. The second place we stayed at was an active volcano that blew up in 1968 and wiped out 80% of the population.
I love how they kept saying I was not active. And it was only 50 years ago that it wiped out the whole city.
Right,
And it
there's-
was smoking today.
Yeah, there's steam coming out of there.
It's just
So why don't
letting
we
off
build
a little
resort?
steam.
Let's build a resort right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what town was that?
Fortuna,
La Fortuna.
right? That's the town you're thinking
yeah,
of, right?
that's what
Fortuna.
I was thinking of, right. Yeah, because Bob and Sue Crane, who are with us,
Live in
live in Fortuna,
Yeah.
Fortuna, California.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great trip, and I liked the differences in the cloud forest versus the rainforest.
Yes.
You almost have to experience it to see.
Yes. The ability to be walking through just a mist where, the rainforest, it's, obviously different, from the standpoint of heavier droplets, a little bit more rivers running through it. The cloud was just, everything had moss growing on it. And
It's what you would kind of expect it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the epiphytes in the trees were
Oh, my
just
God.
unbelievable.
Everywhere.
we
It is
we were
break time.
laughing. What was that?
You got to hold on to this story.
Okay,
It's break
perfect.
time.
Got it.
Okay, we were laughing, ... We're going to continue the ... dots from Tiger when we return. We have to take a break. These commercial messages, we are brought to you by Fertilome. More messages right here on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, we have returned from that break. Those on Facebook Live, any questions? I mean, we've answered a lot of questions that we came prepared with, but whatever you want to know about Costa Rica,
And we got
have
a lot
not
coming
touched
up.
on. And
a lot of
coming
things
up.
coming up next week.
Right.
Because in cold climates, it's Mother's Day.
Start of their spring.
Yeah, when it's safe to put things out and not worry about the frost. But prior to the break, Tiger, you
Tiger,
were saying...
we going to continue your ...
We were so blown away by the bromeliads growing in trees that we would call them a 15-gallon, a 24-inch box bromeliad. That's the size of this bromeliad. Is just massive. Maybe 4 or 5 feet tall and wide bromeliad growing in a tree. This is not in the ground. This is in a tree, 40 feet up in the air. There it is on a branch.
Things seem to grow in and amongst each other, and they attach themselves, and they wind around, and they're just, I mean, we saw roots coming out, and it just unbelievable.
And trees have whole other lives in the sense of, when the tree goes dormant, some other vine or bromeliad or something else is alive in it. And then the tree comes back to life during the time of year, and maybe those things, go dormant. And they just, you look up and you don't know where one thing starts and the other thing ends.
John, I have a new favorite palm tree, and you know what it is.
Lipstick palm.
Lipstick palm.
Oh, yeah. Those are cool.
Posted a couple of pictures. This palm freezes at 55 degrees. It needs a lot of humidity. You won't see it most anywhere in the world except Costa Rica is a huge place for
freezes
those.
might not be the...
That's not a good term, is it?
No, it
doesn't
more like
do well.
Declines from...
Peaked.
Cold. Yeah.
Gets a little peak at 55.
From cold, yeah.
And it just, there's randomly, there's a little bit of red about, three-quarters of the way up?
It's not randomly, it's the crown shaft.
To me, it looks random. To me, it looks random.
Yeah,
but the crown shaft is red.
Right, the crown shaft is red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely lipstick palm, if you get a chance to see one, is a sight to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also like humidity, so if you're in a dry area like San Diego, it's not going to be easy to grow.
And then another thing which we saw on day one at Doka, which is one of my favorite trees, and they actually do grow here in San Diego, but they look way better in tropical environments, was the rainbow bark eucalyptus.
Yeah.
Remember that, where you have this bark and you've got greens and pinks and yellows and all kinds of shades as the bark peels on the trunk of the tree.
A little bit of chartreuse, as I recall.
Yeah, chartreuse. So, fun tree as well.
The surprise might be to people who've never seen mangoes in the tropics.
Oh, my goodness.
Those trees are gigantic.
Look at mangoes way up there.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of those.
Yeah.
And they just grew everywhere. Everywhere.
And they all
parking lots. Yards.
I learned that they're the biggest exporter of pineapple.
They are, now that Hawaii no
Yeah.
longer exports pineapples.
We get a taste of their pineapple up
Pineapples
and down that river.
were awesome, right?
Delicious.
We get the taste on the riverboat.
My new favorite ice cream, by the way, is orange pineapple.
Orange and pineapple? That's
It's
what the
orange
flavor was?
pineapple ice cream, yeah.
Yummy.
I'm still a coconut guy.
You didn't try the orange
I
pineapple.
didn't. No, I didn't.
You can try coconut here. You need to find somewhere that has orange pineapple ice cream.
In all these years, you never had it?
I don't think so.
But you love ice
Isn't
cream.
that like a Dole Whip? Isn't that orange
kind of.
pineapple?
Yeah.
Or is Dole Whip just pineapple?
Well, it's similar, I think. But I think I know what to get you for holidays and Christmases and birthdays. Just a case of ice cream.
Kevin
There's such a
points
thing.
out the strangler fig that we saw. That was the first time I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are interesting in the sense of seeing it take over a tree and then having it hollowed out and all that underneath.
It's funny, Costa Rica, discussing the trip here at the station with a few people. They're, oh, beautiful. I love the pictures, you guys, in Garden America. And then I show them pictures of, the monkeys and the caimans and that aspect of the trip. Now, I would never go to a place like that. Bugs, caiman alligators.
There were no bugs, were
monkeys.
there?
No, I didn't see any bugs.
Oh, yeah. They had those giant cicada bugs, that tarantula. We didn't see it, but remember they said it was there.
Yeah.
Um,
Which they're very shy tarantulas for the most part. That's
Yeah.
why we didn't see any.
Yeah.
What else?
Costa Rica is a dangerous place.
It can be.
Meaning, like,
Yeah.
it's definitely not like, oh, you can just walk down the street and you might get attacked by some kind
We
of
had two
wild
quaddies
cat.
on our property on the third hotel. I was lying in bed and I looked and this thing walked by and it was a quaddie. And went outside. There was two of them.
Halloween crabs were cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know, huh?
Yeah.
All over the place. Isn't it so funny
Squished.
how far they get away from the water?
My gosh.
They were in the mountains.
In the mountains.
Yes.
I had one disappointment.
Okay.
My wife is in love with the Bauhinia monandra,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Is that what she calls it?
the pink Bauhinia. And our good friend Sherry, who joined us on the trip, gave me a seed pod, which you can't bring stuff back, so there wasn't anything I was going to do with it, but it ended up in my suitcase somehow.
Well, I think you dropped it
Yeah.
on the way to throwing it away.
Yeah.
I think you dropped it
Dropped
in
it
your
in my
suitcase.
suitcase when I was packing up. But opened up and there were no seeds in it.
No.
Yeah.
You didn't check the seed pod to see if there were seeds in the pod, huh?
No.
Darn it.
So I'm going to have to,
You can order those, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, you can order those.
Yeah.
And I think it'll grow for you.
You do?
I do. I think it'll grow. I don't think it'll live forever. I think it'll grow for you, though.
Terry mentioned the vipers.
Yes. We saw a small little.
People were getting right up close
Viper.
to it and were like, hey, whoa,
Freaked
whoa,
me out.
back up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
You know?
That was cool.
That was a good hike. I enjoyed that hike. Got to spend some quality time with John a little bit off on the side of the pathway there discussing the flora and fauna.
And I mentioned to you that it was also merry weather the whole time we were there.
That you did.
You weren't impressed then either.
Oh, look at
as I
Sherry
recall.
says, oh, darn.
Well,
well.
Sherry said she got one good seed from hers, so maybe she'll get it to grow.
Oh, there you go. So, I don't know if you guys remember the stats that were given to us at that
18 feet of rain.
Nature. Oh, you weren't there, but John, in the sense of the other thing that was really cool, because when you look up in trees in a jungle, like we said, there's so much that we can see.
Right.
But what was really impressive too was being able to see the different orchids, because you're not going to see an orchid unless it's in bloom. So you look up in the trees, you would see some in bloom, some not in bloom. But do you remember roughly the volume of orchids they felt they had in the forest there? It was like 800 varieties or something, or 800 species, but they also didn't know how many they really have, right?
Just like there's an extinct gold frog, right? But they don't know.
Yeah,
they haven't even explored half the country.
That's what she was saying. Like,
Yeah.
we don't even know what's in this area yet. It hasn't been, reported or documented.
It's like how little we know about the ocean, when it comes right down to it. Same thing.
I was just really impressed with the volume of orchids, different varieties of orchids. And then there was this one that one of our tour guides during the walk, and he talked about how it was pollinated. And he, remember the bat
And
comes
then
along?
the bat
and
hits it real quick.
And it flicks it,
Right.
and then you see it emit.
It's like a little puff.
The puff of pollen.
And it
I
happens
don't
so
think that
quickly.
was an orchid, though.
I thought it was, no?
I thought it was a jade vine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was an orchid.
I think he said it was a mucuna.
Okay. But it was just interesting to see that this is the way this plant reproduces. And it took, and he said the bat's the only one that does it.
Yeah,
It's not a butterfly, not a hummingbird,
And
not
they use their
a
sonar.
moth.
They use their sonar, is that?
Yeah,
To find it.
to find it.
Right.
One thing I remember was getting up in the morning, going to take a shower, and it was open, like the top of it was open.
Oh, yeah.
And
You
you could,
talking about the hotel with the plants inside the shower?
yeah.
I love that.
And the birds that greeted you in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
it was nonstop bird calls.
Yeah.
Usually
about
it was
4
our
o'clock in the
tour
morning.
guides, but
4 o'clock in the morning, there's at least one bird ready to get up and to start the day.
saw the toucans.
Yeah, you know what? They're hard to spot. We saw them at that place where we made our own dinner,
Yeah.
that little buffet, and then on the bus heading east to whatever hotel we were going to, on top of a wire on somebody's house.
Rick in Idaho wants to know what kind of veggies they grew there.
Man,
You got 30 seconds to
everything.
tell Rick before the break.
Okay, well, they grew basically everything we
Yes.
grow here except cassava,
Mm-hmm.
which is a root crop that they grew a lot of.
They use a lot of root crops over there. It was pretty interesting.
All right, break time. We've got one more segment for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Facebook Live, we just keep on moving along. Any questions, comments right there on our Facebook page, the comments section. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. It is break time here on Garden America. Moving right along, we are back from the break. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Those on Biz Talk Radio, final segment of hour number 1. Hour 2 starts at 6 minutes after. We hope you can join us. You can also join us live each and every week on our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show. Go to our page. You can interact, watch us live, and chit-chat amongst each other.
You know, people who read our newsletter know this, but other listeners may not know that today is World Naked Gardening Day.
Oh, is that not common knowledge?
Some people, you forget. It's
Yeah,
like
true.
you're busy. The next thing it's Christmas.
Let me just say that I appreciated the way you greeted me this morning when I arrived at the studio. It took a lot of thought, John. Thank you.
I mentioned in the little article I wrote that I would be celebrating working with my houseplants. But
I like that leaf, the way that leaf was strategically placed in the picture.
across the picture,
Right.
there's also a link to the day in Ireland, a little video.
Careful of what you click.
You can watch it unfolding in Ireland. Did you look at the video?
I did not.
Oh,
I
you
like
should.
that choice of words, unfolding
That's
in
right.
Ireland.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
live from Ireland. Also, today's a big Star Wars day, right?
May the 4th be with you.
May the
Yes.
4th
May the 4th
be with you. Oh,
Right.
Kevin says he discovered that pineapples are not fruit.
They're flowers.
That's what they told us. They're not fruit.
Yep.
John's, okay, wait a minute.
John's smirk.
Wait, I put the camera on John real
know,
quick, and I want to see
I know.
that
No,
smirk.
no.
Yeah. Come on, John.
On.
Well, it's a technicality. It is a technicality.
It is. They
Right?
said it was a
Just like tomatoes are not a vegetable.
They're fruit.
they're fruit.
you know.
Right.
And pineapples are an aggregate fruit, just like
Just like any seed.
like
is a
berries,
fruit.
like
Yeah.
raspberries, and
Anyway, that pineapple was very good. It was very good. We sampled that on the riverboat.
Yeah.
when probably the time, the whole trip was awesome, but the time I came closest to disliking, and actually did dislike now that I think of it, was the kayaking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't do that.
Yeah, I did not do that. You're the only one that could tell us you
We
dislike-
You know what? We kayaked in Hawaii, and it was peaceful. Birds were chirping, and the
My
water
back
was
hurt
flat.
the whole time. My quads were hurting. It was just horrible.
But I'll tell you what, if you want
And-
to walk 5 miles, walk with John. He's a good 5-mile walker.
And they didn't give you life vests because they said if you fall out of the boat, just watch you don't hurt yourself. Because
Well, how deep was
super
the
shallow.
water?
it's like maybe 2 inches.
Oh,
To
just
sta-
watch that you don't hit your head on the bottom.
Well, there were certain ways to get out as we went towards the ocean, and then we went at the time the tide was coming in, so it was easier to get back because it rose another 6 feet or something like that. But when we got to the ocean, they had cut up watermelon, pineapple, and one other thing, and that was good. So it was like all the suffering may have been worth it because it was so good.
Yeah.
The
Also-
suffering.
Also, my wife's new favorite cookie is cocoa bana. It's kind of a
I don't remember
coconut.
which one it was.
We're
Where was this at?
yeah, where was that Cocoa Bonnet?
I bought them at the last hotel we stayed at the little shop that was around there. I didn't know what they were,
Okay.
but they were really good.
That last hotel, we could have done 3 or 4 days there. I really enjoyed it.
The one along the beach?
Along the beach.
Yeah.
And the water. You went down to the water,
ocean.
right?
The ocean.
That ocean is like
It
a
was-
hot tub.
Yeah.
There's no getting used to it. You're used to it when you dip your
Really?
toes
Did you
into
go
it.
in the ocean?
Yeah. It's really warm.
Oh.
It was really warm.
My wife didn't want to go, and she usually loves the ocean. and I asked her why, and she said she wasn't sure where the sewage was going.
Into the ocean.
Could have been. I don't know.
We ran into Bob and Sue Crane down there all by themselves. They didn't see us at first, Dana and myself, so I took a couple of random pictures of them. Then they said, "Hey, how
sneaky
you
stalker
doing?"
pictures.
Yeah, sneaky stalker pictures.
Nice.
We're caught up on the comments and the questions. Keep them coming. Whatever's on your mind.
I brought in something for show and tell
Yeah.
today.
Did.
And Tiger, you probably know this because you are in the current
Yes.
retail nursery business, and I sometimes am not aware of all the new breeding that's coming out. But I was shocked when I saw these Kufia.
I think you were
Right.
taken aback, is what you were.
I was.
Don't-
But usually, Kufia hysopifolia is the Mexican heather, right?
Yep.
Mexican
Little
false heather, they call
purple
it sometimes.
pinkish flowers.
Yeah,
kinda
real
very
tiny
glossy,
flowers.
shiny leaf.
And
Yes.
then they did some breeding, and they came up with some red ones. I think they called one bat-faced or something.
Yep, I was gonna. It's funny you said taken aback, and I was like, "There's one that is called bat face."
Yeah.
Bat-faced. But even that wasn't impressive. You
No.
really had to stretch to see it. But then these with these huge flowers, and they're kind of drought tolerant. I forget what that one is called. Maybe Purple
Kufia.
Splash or something.
Oh, Sweet Talk Lavender Splash. But
Lavender
it's a-
Splash,
It's
yeah.
a Kufia procumbens, is what they put the botanical name on it with.
And these new varieties are more compact, definitely showier. I mean,
This flower's
huge
amazing.
flowers, yeah.
Yeah, get a shot of that.
This real quick.
Look at that. How quickly we can just turn the camera right around and the technical advancements that we've made. And there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, and then the other is, I don't know the name of the other one, but the other one is a dark purple.
Angelonia.
That's an Angelonia?
I think so. Yeah, it's an Angelonia.
Oh, well, no wonder it looks so much different.
Yeah.
Angelonia, another heat-loving plant, right?
No wonder that's a very exotic Kufia.
Yeah.
Because it's an Angelonia.
Right. But it's
Well-
a large flower for an Angelonia, isn't it?
It's no, and
It looks more like
I
a
was-
penstemon, maybe.
I was busy working the camera, but so the really cool thing about Kufia, we'll start back there. You mentioned the different varieties. So, but the other thing is it Kufia ignea, where they call it cigar plant,
Right.
and they're tubular flowers.
Right,
They created one.
with a little bit of ash on the end.
Yeah,
That's why they're called
that's why they
cigar.
call it cigar.
Yeah.
But they created one, and they call it Hummingbird's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I don't know. It's called Hummingbird's meal, because it's such a massive bloomer that with one plant you'll just see tons of hummingbirds picking off of it. And then these different varieties of Kufia, but these flowers open up. They're tubular, but they open up at the end, in lots of colors, lots of fun shapes. Because if you were to tell me I want a Kufia that gets 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide, there's a variety. But at the same time, if you were to tell me you want a Kufia that gets 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide, there's a variety. And so you can have a lot of fun as a filler plant
Sure.
with this type of.
We're going to take a break.
All right.
Speaking of that, we got to talk about hummingbirds and butterflies on the other side, briefly, from Costa Rica. Stay with us. Those on Biz Talk Radio, this break is for you. News coming up. We're back at 6 minutes after. Stay with us. Facebook Live, continue exactly what you're doing. As, yes, Garden America returns. It is our, our post-trip. We had a pre-trip. This is our post-trip, talking about Costa Rica here on Garden America. Stay with us. Garden America has returned. This is the second hour for those that are tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, one continuous show for our friends on Facebook Live. Thank you. And a lot of people commenting, John, as you mentioned, on the plants that we brought in, asking questions, beautiful flowers. What is the care? How do you take care of
Veronica
them?
wants to know if they're easy to care
Easy
for.
to care for.
Extremely easy.
Yeah.
The Kufia, is heat tolerant.
Sun
Gina wants
tolerant,
to
shade
know.
tolerant.
Gina wants to know if they're cold tolerant. No, they're
They'll
not.
put up with a lot of things,
I mean-
but not that.
I mean, they're hardy though. You know what I mean? The Kufia, what was the one that we started off with? The Mexican heather.
Mexican heather, right?
That one is very hardy.
Yeah.
You know,
But
and does it
but
reseed?
Snow Hardy?
No, not snow hardy. And does it
I
reseed
don't-
or does it root grow? I think it reseeds.
I've never even heard that term, re-root grow.
Well, how do you?
It's a useful term. I like it.
But I mean, you know what I mean? Like when something repopulates from the roots, not
Yeah.
necessarily from a seed
Yeah.
falling in.
We call them rerooters.
Re-rooter.
It's a rerooter. Not a rotor-rooter,
Not a
but a
rotor-rooter,
rerooter.
but a re-rooter.
Yeah. You're nothing but a rerooter, John.
But then I really like Angelonia because I like snapdragons.
Sounds like a girl's name, doesn't it?
Angelonia?
I really like Angelonia.
She's
To
great.
me, it sounds like a country. You want to go to
She's
Angelonia
wonderful.
next year? By the way, Carla would like us to spell the names.
Okay. I mean, Kufia is Cuphea. That's the Kufia. And then, like we said, from there's a lot of varieties. Angelonia, Angelonia. And
Use that in
there-
a sentence, please, for the spelling bee competition.
But I really like Angelonia because I like snapdragons, that spire kind of flower, and it's a perennial that does it. So it's kind of a similar look to the flower spike of a larkspur, delphinium, snapdragon, but they're hardy plants. Those are all what we would describe more as annuals, and the Angelonia gives you that same look in a perennial. Now, I will say, though, the one thing I'm not a huge fan of with the Angelonia is their dwarf compact ones, because I think the point of buying them is to have a taller, beautiful spire. And as you've mentioned before, a lot of breeders are trying to grow them compact because they ship well, they show well on the nursery
They
grounds.
fit on the shelf, yeah.
They fit on the shelf.
Yeah.
And they've created these plants that max out at like 1.5 feet tall, and that's just not as impressive to me. So pay attention, because you're going to get inspired by a lot of tall Angelonias, but if you go to some stores, you're going to see them, you'll be like, oh, this one grows tall, but it's a compact variety. So
What is the height on that? What did you say that purple Angelonia was called?
Archangel dark purple. Let me see what it says at the height.
Yeah, it'll say on there. But Lisa was asking about Reading heat. Yes, they will take any kind of heat. When it comes to flowers, Brian, some like it hot.
Some do like it hot,
And these are two of the ones that do like it
and
hot.
that was a good movie.
It doesn't say the height on the tag.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, I
Are
can
you
look
sure?
it up, though. Yeah. Maybe on the other side of the thing.
The compact one would do well in a pot.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, Veronica.
Even the tall ones do well in pots. Let's see.
You know what? While we were gone, I had my irrigation system on. So
How did that work for you?
it worked well. Everything was alive when I came home, but because everything was damp, I was telling Tiger that the day after we got home, I walked just one walk around the house and came back with a 1-gallon can full of snails.
Really?
Unbelievable. And hundreds of snails.
Jeez.
And I don't smash them because it would be a slimy mess around the house. So I just picked up the can and dumped them in the trash.
Oh, don't you like throw them as far as you can into the neighbor's yard?
No, that's not nice.
Oh. I didn't know that was frowned upon.
14 inches. This is what that one says.
Tall?
Yeah, which
That-
doesn't seem that tall.
No, because it's almost that tall now,
It
isn't
is.
it?
Yep.
Tall?
Well, must spread out then. You can see the side branches going.
Burpee is telling me 6 to 8 inch spread and 10 to 14. And that's the Angelonia Archangel Blue bicolor. I think if it's going to be the Archangel series, it's probably all the similar
Right.
sizes.
Well, that should be called
Archangel.
Gabriel or
Archangel.
Michael then, shouldn't it, John?
There might be others. It reminds me of a rose I planted this spring, which is just coming into bloom now. And it's came from Germany, and it's called Gelber Engel.
Gelber? With a
Gelber
G?
Engel.
Yeah, Gelber with a G,
Gelber
Gelber Engel. And so I thought it was named after a person. And when Greg and Steve were visiting during the auction, came over to my house, and Steve speaks fluent German, pretty much so. And he looks at the tag, and I said, "Yeah, this is a new one for me, this Gelber Engel." He goes, "Oh, yeah, yellow angel." I didn't realize, that's what it meant in German.
Yellow? That's how they say yellow?
Gelber, I guess,
Okay.
yellow or some, but Engel, Engel is,
Angel.
yeah.
That's funny. All right.
Let's take a little rest here.
Spring.
Catching up. See, Lisa throws her snails at the fence or into the street.
I used to when I lived on Pepper Tree, but now it's just too many.
So we were shocked, though, in Costa Rica about snails because there is so much foliage.
Where are the
everywhere.
snails?
And we didn't see snails.
Where
and
are
we
the
asked,
snails?
and they said they have them there, and they do,
You know what?
exist.
One of the people we were walking with pointed out a snail to me,
Oh,
and it had feathery antenna.
weird.
Yeah.
Something like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, something like that.
I imagine with that humidity, if we saw any snails, they'd be huge,
Yeah, like it looked at you eye to eye.
right? You can get on top of the shell and ride it down the block.
Did it have the classic European snail shell, or was it more of decolate snail?
No, it was more, it was much smaller than a brown snail.
Okay.
But that classic shape. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was just the weird antenna that came out. Rick wants to know if we saw any roses in Costa Rica. Virtually none.
We saw a lot of roses. I don't know what you're talking about. Every yard had roses.
And any rose that we might have seen was brought there.
Oh yeah.
They don't,
Oh, there's no native roses.
no native roses.
But anywhere you see roses, they were brought there.
Yeah.
True. True. Yeah, true.
Because we don't normally plant wild roses. But there was, I think I saw 2 houses that had roses planted by their fence.
Yeah.
But that was about it. Virtually no roses. But we did see hydrangea everywhere.
Yes, we
Everywhere.
did. But you know what? It was planted in direct sunlight, and none that I saw looked very good. Looked very healthy.
And they were it looked like they had just taken cuttings. A lot of times it just stuck them in, but they were growing. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Like, it was amazing.
They had some along the coffee plantation.
I never realized how easy, easy in the sense that I thought you could never do it, to grow hydrangeas from cuttings.
I know.
Because if you go into even Albertsons, they'll bring in these green hydrangeas that you can't really buy anywhere, but you could easily buy a bouquet, take them home, and root them.
Easy, huh?
Yeah. I'm sure there's a little more involved.
I'm
For John,
thinking. I'm waiting
for John,
the
it's
caveat.
that easy. For John, it's that easy.
Yeah, there's a caveat there, Tiger, for sure.
Gina wants to know if we talked about the grass. What is she talking about?
I don't know.
Did you talk about the grass?
Grass in Costa Rica?
Like lawns?
Mm-hmm. Or sugarcane. They call that grass. No. They had
I'm not sure what she's referring to.
a
Gina, explain that just a little bit further.
but
Could be my brain cells.
We're going to
are
break
not,
in 60.
not
okay.
collecting.
'Cause when we get back then, we were talking about the hydrangeas, and it kind of was interesting to see. You can tell the pH in soil by the flower, and they were all blue there, which is what we try to do here
Right.
in Southern California.
Because they
That's
need
natural
acid soils.
pH.
Yeah, that's their natural pH. right
Okay,
there.
break time.
When we
We're
get
gonna-
back, I want to talk about a really cool plant that this is really my first year to appreciate.
Don't forget that. A really cool plant. John's first year to appreciate it.
Right. It was in Did You Know? In case I forget, you can remind me.
And that's on the other side. We're going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Today's show brought to us by Fertilome. We appreciate your Fertilome. Break coming up. And Gina has answered your question. We'll get to that after the break here on Garden America. Okay, right back. We are done with that break. Hope you had a good break here on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. John, back to you with your comments.
Well, back to Gina's question.
Oh, yeah,
She
okay.
wanted to know if I talked about the grass, and where I'm sitting, I can't see it, and that's Brian's little
Oh.
plastic grass.
just taking up space there
It
in
just
the photo.
looks like something part of what John brought in.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it grows well though. It loves lighting in here, and it loves a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
A lot of darkness.
Okay.
Did you know?
In the Did You Know, by the way, if you don't sign up for our newsletter, it's now still free. We're thinking about something in the future where it may not be free or something may not be free. So go
Grab
sign
the
up.
newsletter now. Go to our website, gardenamerica.com. Sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, always good information in there. Yeah. Anyway, I planted last year for the first time, and this year seeds came up everywhere, but Orlea. Have you ever grown Orlea?
I don't know.
It's called white fringe flower, and it kind of looks like Queen Anne's lace.
Mm-hmm.
But Queen Anne's lace is weedy. It is a perennial, but, it just grows wild. But this Orlea is spectacular, and it gets to be about, I would say mine is waist high right now. And the picture that's in the newsletter was taken at my yard, right next to my house. And I'm just shocked at how many blooms. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blooms.
It's hardy too.
Meaning,
Queen Anne's lace. When you're giving that idea that people say Queen Anne's lace, it's a very light plant,
right?
Very delicate to some degree.
Yeah.
And Orlea is a bit more thick or rigid as well. So it's a very hardy plant, which kind of like you don't expect from when being able to kind of throw it out from seed. And for your area, that's got to be great because you kind of need that fleshy, tough plant.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is because it will take heat.
Yeah.
So you can grow it in really hot areas where Queen Anne's lace won't grow.
Yeah.
It likes mainly cooler temperatures, but this would be great for, arrangements and things like that. As a matter of fact, I sent my daughter a picture of it, and she thought it was candy tuft.
Yeah, I was going to say, some people think of it as candy tuft,
right,
or even sometimes like Myoporum.
But it's much bigger than candy tuft because
Yeah.
candy tuft is lower, but it does give you the same look. So anyway, Orlea is, for Carla, is Orlaya.
And did you seed that, you said? You just threw out seeds?
Well, when we lived in the trailer
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted, something to remind us that someday we'll have a garden, I bought a few plants from Annie's Annuals.
Okay.
And so they sent a 4-inch pot, planted it in the ground, and it really did not do much. But it did bloom, looked kind of cool. It was the first time I'd ever seen the bloom. And it seeded. And the next year, some came up from seed. And then this year, or last fall, I should say, I took all the plants and just shook the seed everywhere. And it came up, and it's just phenomenal. I think because it had all winter to start, that when the spring hit, I would say
And we had 2 wet winters, which you probably really appreciated as well.
Well, it's been in full bloom since February, probably. So from February to May, in full bloom, and it looks to me like there's at least another 2 months, maybe even more. But it definitely a plant to look up. It'll fit in any kind of cutting garden borders. And it looks great. White fringe flowers, the common name.
It's funny you mentioned that. It sparked my memory of something that I'm dealing with in my yard right now. You know those plants that you plant and you're like, I'm going to be fine with this reseeding throughout my yard. You're just like,
You don't mind if it spreads all over.
I don't mind if it spreads
Right.
all over, right? Asclepias. I have so much Asclepias in my yard right now.
Second thoughts now?
Oh, yeah. Because they turn into giant bushes. And the monarchs have not come to eat them. So they're just thriving right now. And so
Now you have to get rid of.
I've got to
And
it's not just, what John's describing is that he could go and kind of like hand pull them out.
If you didn't want them,
If
right?
you didn't want
they're
them.
really easy to pull out.
I've let them develop into shrubs where I'm going to have to use a shovel to dig out these Asclepias now. But yeah, they were fun. They were fun for a minute.
so much for the experiment.
Yeah.
I don't mind if these grow everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Veronica wants to know what soil do green hydrangeas need. I think they'll take any type
Yeah,
of soil.
they don't, because because, like we're saying, the reason is the flower color.
Right.
Green hydrangeas are green no matter what soil they're in, and hydrangeas just like a soil that keeps the roots, well watered. They don't like well draining soil.
Carla, did you see Carla's comment, John?
I saw it just pop up.
The latest comment. I guess we missed that one back earlier on.
All right. She said that there's a Mary Lou Hurd tour. Mary Lou Hurd owned, was it Country Gardens? Was that the name of it?
I remember. I know the name sounds familiar, but I don't know.
we've talked about her before.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't we mention her tour last year? I feel, yeah.
Okay.
What is she saying?
But if you go to Herds, Herds, gardentour.com, you can find out all the information.
Which she brings up a great point we wanted to mention during the show is that this is garden tour season now.
Yes, it is.
We talked about Mother's Day, and right now everywhere's kicking off
you have
their
a garden tour this time of the year.
Mother's Day weekend next weekend.
Mother's Day weekend, it's coming up.
The Mission Hills Garden Tour.
Where you're allowed to go into anybody's garden without notifying them.
Yeah, you just walk into people's backyards.
24/7, climb the fence, and take samples, basically. That's the beauty.
Yeah. Have lemonade in their back porch.
Exactly. Yeah.
One thing that we saw in Costa Rica that was not as nice as California were orange trees.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you know what? Good call.
Yeah,
they for all their fruit, for all their production, citrus, not great. They did have a lot of fields of it, and I'm sure they probably grow a good amount, but the trees did not look great. And then, John, we've talked about this before, but they don't turn orange. Remember we were talking
not as orange as in California,
right?
They got kind of a greenish.
They got
cast.
kind of a greenish look to it because of the humidity. And
so remember that truck that we were behind a truck one day? There was two of them, one ahead of the other, and we were like, "Are those apples? Are they oranges? They're kind of green." Did we ever determine what?
I don't know
what they were.
Yeah,
They could have been oranges.
I don't know if they had apples there.
Apples.
Could they grow an apple
one
there?
No.
It doesn't get cold.
I'm not sure about in the mountains.
Yeah.
Or
but I don't even think,
on the volcanoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they could grow
but
an
it's
apple
probably
there.
not cold enough.
But the soil's very good because a lot of it's volcanic soil in those areas.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. We're going to take a break. Two more segments yet to come here. Biz Talk Radio Facebook Live. Keep the questions, comments coming as we are here till the very end. We decided to stay for the entire show today, which is good news for all of us. So this break for Biz Talk Radio, short break for Facebook Live here. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox here, your friends on Garden America. Back from the break, this is Garden America. If you're just joining us, and we have two more segments. This is the longer segment and then a short segment right after this one.
I was just thinking, I was trying to think of where Mary Lou Hurd's nursery was, and it was Hurd's Country Gardens was the name of the nursery, and it was in Westminster. And I wrote an article.
Up by L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah, Los Angeles.
I wrote an article about Mary Lou Hurd for the Garden Compass magazine a few years ago, and she was really an amazing woman. And I met her a couple times, and she was as nice as could be. But we did point out how she was the one who really brought clematis to Southern California, because prior to that, people used to think they wouldn't grow here, and they do fine. Matter of fact, the one I have on the side of my house is doing better than the bougainvillea.
Have you ever been up to her location?
Yes.
Okay, so it's about what, 4 blocks, maybe a little bit less than 4 blocks big, and there's a portion of it that's the home and the nursery, but then they have like botanical garden, like you walk through like on a trail.
I haven't been there since she died, so
okay.
I don't know if they've changed it.
Okay, I don't know, but yeah, they have like botanical gardens, like the San Diego Botanical Garden where there's like a trail and you can walk through. And as John mentioned, some of the clematis are growing. And, what would be that time of year right now for the clematis to be in bloom?
Just starting to come into bloom.
So, right now would be an excellent time of year to start going there and seeing that because the varieties that she has and brought in there, and they allow them to grow up, all over the place. So it's really neat.
Paula says the Fallbrook Garden Club has a good plant and flower sale next weekend.
Ooh.
So that'd be Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
So I will be home
Yeah.
for that weekend. So
You going to sell some avocados? I need a surprise avocado. I got a customer looking for one.
Really? Surprised I don't have any.
surprise, Brian.
Yes.
That's what it
Yeah.
is called. Do you know the unique feature of surprise?
The tree or the avocado itself?
The avocado itself.
The size.
No.
The size of what?
Well, I think we all know.
The feature of surprise is that it will not turn brown like regular avocados.
When you leave them on the, you mean if it
no, the when you make guacamole,
right.
You know how it turns brown?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very quickly, too.
Yeah, that doesn't happen with surprise.
So you think that it's good to eat?
Even though it's not?
Any time after you slice it.
Does it still have that same oxidized
You know what's
flavor?
funny is you can still eat the avocado when it turns brown.
Oh, yeah.
People like, let me scrape that off a little bit. It's the presentation.
Yeah, that's what I
Just
do.
like a banana when it's got brown, just
Right.
mushy. You can still eat it.
I brought a good banana for you,
Yeah,
John, on the
I
trip.
knew that was going to lead to that.
Yeah. John said, actually, this was a very good banana.
It was.
I'm learning his tastes.
It was. Lila's leaving to be a greeter at the Bernardo Gardeners tour.
Bernardo Gardeners?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
So there's a lot going on. And Sherry has done a little, let her fingers do the walking through the internet.
Uh-huh.
She said that Gabriella Plants has Bauhinia Menandra in 4-inch pots
Oh.
for $16.99 and they ship. So when I get home,
Gabriel Plants.
John's going to place an order when
I'm
he
going
gets
to
home.
place an order.
Yeah.
I did find that Fairchild Gardens had them for $40.
In a 4-inch.
And you go on their website, you can order whatever you want, and then you put in your zip code, and it won't let you go any further. Because obviously they can't ship to California.
Aw.
Yeah.
But why don't they tell you that ahead of
In the
time?
beginning,
before
right?
you waste your time, yeah.
Yeah. You get all excited.
Right? And then it freezes up on you.
Did you ship your roses yet? You were coming home to ship roses.
I shipped 2 boxes yesterday.
Nice.
I was too tired when I
Yeah,
got home to
yeah,
do
tough.
my
Oh,
shipping.
Yeah.
It's tough.
But
What time
yeah,
did you get home, finally?
11 o'clock.
11
Yeah.
o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Was-
when you normally go to bed.
No, I go to bed much earlier.
Because the last show we did before Costa Rica, you went to bed at 11:30, and you were hurting.
Yeah, that's true.
My sleep was off while we were there. Meaning, I didn't have a problem. I like going to bed early, so
And it was only 1 hour time difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt
But-
the same thing.
I felt, and the weird thing about it was I would sleep in more there than I normally do. And like you're saying, I should have been waking up earlier, but it was weird. It was weird.
Well, we had to get up early every single day.
Yeah.
And that threw me off a little bit because breakfast usually started, at 6:30?
6:30, up and
6:30,
at him. 6:30, bags out at 7:45.
Beautiful family.
Right.
Or whatever.
But for us, it was 5:30
Yeah.
because they're 1 hour ahead of us.
Yep.
So, yeah, just that one hour was a little weird. By the way, the tour was, I think they mentioned that it was a somewhat strenuous tour. But one of the nice things that I thought they did was they made allowances for anyone who didn't want to do the strenuous part.
Oh, yeah.
I would say most of the tour, probably 60 to 70% of the tour, anyone could do.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple areas where there were long walks, like on the bridges and things
That
like
was
that.
that
through
was
the
2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hour walk. But right near there was the butterfly and hummingbirds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you could, sit there and wait for people to come back.
And just sit in amongst the butterflies and hummingbirds. That was really neat.
And then the zip lining was quite a walk, quite an experience, right, Tiger?
Oh, yeah. So much fun. Such an amazing zipline experience.
13 different stations, you said?
Yeah.
Close to it?
Crossed a canyon. ziplined over a canyon. We were so high, and it went so far.
What about the Tarzan swing?
They've got a pretty good success
kilometer.
rate, too, with that, by the way.
The Tarzan swing where you just swing over a canyon.
Yeah. You got to jump off just straight down.
So much fun.
Now, you did a Tarzan yell.
Of course. The Tarzan swing.
On purpose, right?
Yeah.
Did people get it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
not the people from France.
No.
Not the people from France. They looked at me like weird. They were like, what is this guy doing?
I jumping off or being pushed off, I screamed on the front.
Like a little girl.
But, I don't think it was like a little girl because everybody thought I was doing a Tarzan yell to be funny.
Okay.
And then I stopped on the way back because it was just fine, right?
Yeah.
So it must have sounded like, he's having fun.
Now, I understand that you just made the weight.
Yeah, they tell you you can weigh 200 pounds. And I
Otherwise,
hover,
you keep going back and forth.
I hover
forever.
right about 200 pounds, and I think it's because it's not so much that the rope can't carry you; it's that when you're swinging like a pendulum, somebody that's heavy, they can't stop.
They just keep going.
They just keep swinging.
Well, these little girls, they just stopped and got
They
them
just
off.
grab their shoe and hold on to it.
Well, it took a while to stop, right?
It did.
Because I think that guy grabbed my leg like 4 times
Exactly.
before he could get me to slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Now,
was
Tony,
fun.
I don't think we're going to recreate the Tarzan yell right now in studio. You'll overmodulate,
No,
I'm sure.
Exactly.
That's his way of letting us know he's watching.
Thank you very
He
much.
did say pretty please.
He did say pretty please.
You know what? Let's
Not out of the
do
question.
it during the break.
Yeah, we'll shut the mics off and do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that was fun. It's good times.
Rick wants to know if I have a drip irrigation system for my roses.
No.
I do.
Oh,
On one side.
yeah. But
And you know what?
where they're in the ground.
Everything's dying over there.
Where they're in the ground.
Yeah, where they're in the ground.
Well, run it longer. Are they not watering?
I don't know how.
Oh my God.
Did you learn how to set the timer on it yet?
He was
You know-
all savvy on it for a while there.
I can now turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
Well, that's progress.
You know what you should do though is just turn on the valve, set a timer in your house for 2 or 3 hours, and then just go out and turn it off manually. Then, if you're not gonna, do the program, the clock, because that's probably how long it needs to run for. Is probably a couple hours.
See, I would love that.
The
I'd be
drip?
The
changing
drip.
it all
Every
the time.
day?
No, like once every 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
Tiger showed me how to find where that was.
Mm-hmm.
It had something to do with counting the wires.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, she did just 1, 2, 3. This is the
The
third.
red wire, the green wire.
Don't cut the red.
Yeah, it was
Right.
like this is probably the third station that goes to the drip.
Okay, it is break
Did you
time.
not tell me that?
I think so.
We're going to
You're
take a break.
confusing me now.
One more segment coming up for Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Be with us to the very end. John has a surprise. You can make something up, John. Anyway, going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox here. Your weekend on Garden America. Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, you are just in time for the very last segment here on Garden America, shortest segment of the show. We're happy to have you on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. As we wrap things up, slowly but surely, John, Tiger.
There. Got my.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I get choked up too now
Got
and
a
then.
frog in your throat.
How do you
there.
know if it's a frog or a horse? I can never determine that.
It's the first time I used the
The cough
Cough
button.
button.
I got to get used to doing that. But there's a lot of hellebores that are being bred right now with different colored leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And someone sent, one of the plant breeding companies sent some samples to my house. And I'm going to bring those in next week.
Oh,
and
good.
Maybe we can talk about those. Someone else was asking if we've started to discuss our next trip yet.
Oh.
We kind of, little bit. We're testing the waters.
Tiger has an idea that he's going to discuss and see about the practicality of it. But right now we're thinking of maybe Greenland, Iceland, and then coming back into Scotland, Ireland. Something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
That's a lot of plane rides.
A lot of lands.
And a lot of lands.
lands.
Right.
You know?
A lot of lands.
Yeah.
We'll see. And also, too, suggestions from our listeners, our viewers, and maybe some ideas either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carla said that maybe the frog was from Costa Rica.
Probably.
Definitely. There's a lot of frogs there.
I got that one picture what was that?
Poison dart.
Poison dart frog, the red
Yeah.
one on that leaf.
Those were tiny.
Very tiny. I got a really big close-up, and that was the first picture I showed somebody. Then I showed the next picture where it was just, the way it really was, the size. So
Like zoomed out.
That's the same frog? I go, yeah, same frog.
I would say they're virtually the size of your thumbnail, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You don't lick it.
That reminds me, I want to do an article for the newsletter about the relationship between the frogs and the ants in the tree.
Oh, right. The poison dart frog.
Yeah.
And the ants, and then the tree. Yep.
Yeah, about how that the frog gets its poison from the ants that it eats, which use their poison to protect the tree from fungus and diseases and other insects.
Amazing how that works.
Yeah. I've got to get it straight, though.
Gotta kiss a couple frogs to figure it out.
Yeah, Prince Charming, come on.
So anyway, that was Kim in Tucson that was asking about the tour.
Yeah.
That might be a good trip for someone from Tucson, right?
Somebody.
Because we're doing it in the summer, so you get out of
Drastic
Tucson in the
weather
summer
change,
and
for
go to
sure.
Greenland and Iceland.
What's that, Tiger?
One of our friends over there, speaking of Kim from Tucson, since she's listening, a friend of ours from Fertilome texted me about Savano growers in Tucson. And so I don't know
Savano?
if Kim is familiar with them, but supposedly they're a Tucson nursery, and we're going to try to have them on the program here pretty soon.
Do we have any
That's
guests
Savano.
lined up for next week?
We do. We're going to be talking some of the garden walk stuff.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so Savano. I don't know, Kim, have you ever been to Savano Nursery? Civano. But supposedly it's a really neat little nursery there in Tucson.
You mentioned when you get home today, John, back outside.
Oh yeah, the weeds grew so much while I
gosh.
was gone, so I've got to pull weeds. I've not caught a gopher since we got back, and a gopher, the bed right by the bathroom there,
Yeah.
where you planted the strawberry tree.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was planted in that bed was with a jackhammer, right?
Yeah. just
Oh,
Tough as nails.
And then
hard.
there's a walk and a driveway around that bed, so there's no way to get in it.
Yeah.
There was a gopher in there.
How do they dig through that soil?
I don't know.
they have
Why?
little teeny jackhammers themselves.
But why would they? Wouldn't like if I
In
was
other words, a lot of effort for what?
Yeah, exactly. If I was a gopher and I was going around digging for things and trying to find food, there's a lot easier areas to dig
The
in.
path of least resistance?
Yeah.
Well, maybe unless it's, what were they going for, John, over there, the strawberry?
Tree? I don't even know if they would eat a strawberry
It
tree.
came up right by. My wife has a rose that's her favorite,
Oh, goodness.
so it's right there and right next to an alstroemeria.
Maybe it's just worth it to the gopher. Like, you know what? I really want this.
There you go, John. You forget about all these flowers and, hips roses. You need a gopher-proof bred rose. Can you combine a rose with a euphorbia?
So that would poison the gopher.
Exactly.
That would be a good idea.
Just see if
Look
you
at-
can
look at-
cross.
Yeah.
See if you can cross euphorbia
He's got a
and
good look on his face.
exactly euphorbia, because most all euphorbias are poisonous, and I mean not enough to kill people, but if you just had a little bit of euphorbia in that rose, that when the gophers bit into it, they're like, we can't eat this anymore.
I was just thinking of a philosophical question.
if that's morally okay to do.
No, I was thinking, do you think there'll be gophers in heaven?
What needs aerating?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if God created every animal or if the devil threw a few in there, like mosquitoes and gophers.
When we were on the Costa Rica trip, one of our tour members showed me this meme, and they were travel memes, and it was Noah's Ark,
Right.
and it was like these two lions, and they're like, "Oh, how was the cruise?" And they were like, "Oh, it was a little bit bumpy, but the buffet was delicious." And it was the lions coming off of the ark.
Right. And that's I told you that joke that I saw years ago, the one panel cartoon.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Oh, was it?
Noah's Ark is going by, right? Sailing by, whatever. And there's two dinosaurs on the shore. And they said, "Oh crap, was that today?" Hey, that's going to do it for the Garden America show, the post Halloween, the post Costa Rica show.
Hey,
Halloween.
can the poison dart poison people? Poison dart frog. Marilyn wants to know.
Yes.
It can.
Yeah.
Don't-
I mean, right?
We don't know if it kills them, but it can poison them.
Maybe that's something to discuss next
to
week.
look into. Hey, thank you for joining us and putting up with our madness. Our return show, post show from Costa Rica. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We are back, guns a-blazing, next weekend here on Garden America. Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. Be safe. We'll do it again next week right here on Garden America. Take care.